Thank you, Greg. As a United Nations meeting is underway today, the Israel-Hamas war rages. According to Fox News, Israeli Defense Forces alleged to have killed 3 top Hamas deputy commanders in the Gaza Strip just this morning. Reports are also coming in mainly from international media that Iran is urging the United Nations Human Rights Council to hold an emergency meeting regarding Tel Aviv's attack on Hamas in Gaza. Secretary of State Antony Blinken assured top priority for the UN today is the release of hostages and preventing conflict from spreading. Hamas released 2 more hostages following negotiations between Egypt and Qatar Monday. The 2 female Israeli citizens identified as Nurit Yishak and Yocheved Lifshitz were reportedly released to the Red Cross. The women in their 80s were kidnapped from Kibbutz Nir Oz with their husbands, who are in Hamas captivity, according to the Jerusalem Post. Yocheved Lifshitz's grandson told Haaretz the family was happy and satisfied with the official announcement of the hostage release and added he hoped it was, quote, just the beginning of what's to come. It's believed approximately 222 hostages remain in Hamas captivity, according to the latest estimates from the Israeli Defense Force. The Defense Department said Monday they would hold Iran responsible for the recent drone and rocket attacks on U.S. troops in Syria and Iraq. Political reports a number of U.S. troops were injured and an American contractor died of a cardiac episode while running from a false alarm at Al-Assad Air Base in Iraq. The Department of Defense doesn't have information that Tehran explicitly ordered the attacks, but Brigadier General Pat Ryder, Department of Defense spokesperson, told reporters the groups responsible for the incidents were backed by Iran, saying, quote, by virtue of the fact that they are supported by Iran, we will ultimately hold Iran responsible. The incident at the Al-Tanf garrison in southern Syria had no injuries as 2 drones targeting the soldiers' positions were shot down. Ryder added the department was concerned about the potential escalation of the Israeli-Hamas embattlement, saying, quote, we are all watching increased tensions in the region, and again, we want to deter this from becoming a bigger conflict. Only 4 of the 8 Republicans remain in the race for House Speaker: Byron Donalds, Tom Emmer, Mike Johnson, and Kevin Hern. November 17th is just weeks away, the date the stopgap spending bill ends and the government runs out of money. And every day the Republicans fail to choose a new speaker, a $1 trillion omnibus spending bill grows likely. Republicans like Mike McCall of Texas, are not happy.
I want a speaker in the chair so we can move forward and govern my issues. My Committee of War and Peace, it's too dangerous right now. The world's on fire, and this is so dangerous what we're doing. And most importantly, it's embarrassing because it empowers and emboldens our adversaries like Chairman Xi, who says, democracy doesn't work.
Republican Jim Banks from Indiana stressed the need for a true conservative, telling Breitbart News, we're going to need to fight to cut spending. House Republicans must elect a conservative speaker this week, or Joe Biden and the Democrats will continue to add trillions to our debt. The national debt is currently at $33.6 trillion, according to the United States Treasury. A candidate choice and floor vote is expected this afternoon for Speaker of the House. Greg?
Israeli President Isaac Herzog confirmed an Israeli Defense Force report that a USB with instructions on making a cyanide dispersion device was found on a Hamas operative's body after the October 7th attack. Axios reported over the weekend that Israeli Foreign Ministry Weapons of Mass Destruction Non-Proliferation Department had sent a classified cable to its embassies around the world, underscoring that Hamas had intentions of using chemical weapons, but claimed it couldn't verify the file's authenticity. Israeli President Isaac Herzog verified the file.
This is material which was found on the body of one of those sadistic villains. It's Al-Qaeda material, official Al-Qaeda material. We're dealing with ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and Hamas. This is what we're dealing with. And in this material, there were instructions how to produce chemical weapons. It speaks about arson, and it speaks about various chemicals that come out and produce chemical weapons.
Herzog pointed out the manual was al-Qaeda and from 2003, clearly connected the ideological dots between al-Qaeda, Hamas terrorist organizations. Customs and Border Protection is sounding the alarm about Hamas and Hezbollah terrorists possibly using the open borders to infiltrate the United States. A CBP memo went out Friday, initially obtained by the Daily Caller, warning staff in the San Diego Field Office Intelligence Unit of the risk of Israel-Hamas conflict rages. San Diego is a city where the federal government has been reportedly dumping illegal immigrants in the streets by the thousands due to overrun shelters. The memo reads in part that individuals inspired by or reacting to the current Israel-Hamas conflict may attempt travel to or from the area of hostilities in the Middle East via circuitous transit across the southwest border. The memo specifically mentions Hamas, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, and Hezbollah. Border officials have been warned for some time about the number of military-aged males that were coming across. Fox News points out official numbers as of Saturday show there were a record number of 169 people encountered by Border Patrol agents at the southern border on the terror watch list in fiscal year 2023, surpassing the numbers encountered in last 6 fiscal years combined. This, of course, does not include the 1.5 million reported gotaways we don't know anything about. All right, let's talk with constitutional attorney, Victory News contributor Chris Ann Hall. Chris Ann, welcome to Victory News today.
Thank you so much.
So after a classified briefing of Congress last month, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene expressed her concern about terrorists entering America, starting with one particular group. Here it is.
ISIS and an ISIS member helping bring people illegally into our country. There is no doubt about it. Our country is being invaded, and we have a severe national security crisis.
Chris Ann, with the growing risk of a terrorist event inside the United States, well, is that what it's going to take for Joe Biden to finally secure the border?
Well, I don't think that the terrorist threat is growing. I think the terrorist threat has always been that way. So the odds that the Biden administration is going to do anything about it are extremely low, which remains the question, when are our governors going to start doing something? The state constitutions demand our governors to protect from invasion. Our U.S. Constitution demands our governors protect from invasion. The liberty of America depends and requires our governors to protect us from invasion. And I'm not talking about governors moving these terrorists to Democrat cities either. I'm talking about moving them out of the country and locking down our state borders and preventing them from coming in.
All right, one of 2 Jewish women that was released, and we're grateful they were released by Hamas, told reporters she'd been through hell after being captured by Hamas fighters on motorbikes. She described being beaten with sticks, forced to walk even though she's very frail and old. Her daughter spoke to the press. Here's what she said.
My mom is back from Gaza. She's a wonderful woman, and we are so delighted to have her. But our hearts is with the over 200 hostages still there.
The 2 women reported being fed and not tortured while they were in the tunnels. How could Hamas be unspeakably evil in the slaughter of Israelis, then treat them kindly while they're hostage?
Well, there is a political advantage to treating hostages well, because your hostages will become the visual representation of who you are. You have to have good political capital to make trade, and hostages that are in poor condition and being violently beaten will not make for good trade.
Okay, so an Israeli-American professor at Columbia University Business School, he slammed his employer recently. Hear this.
Speaking to you as a dad, and I want you to know, we cannot protect your children from pro-terror student organizations because the president of Columbia University will not speak out against pro-terror student organizations.
The assistant professor, David I, said he would never allow his daughter to attend the Ivy League school and warned other parents of the danger to Jewish students. Is this committed anti-Semitism by university leaders, or choosing now to just look the other way?
Well, let's be clear. Columbia University is a crucible for neo-Marxist hate and was the turning point after World War II for the teaching of this ideology. This is not simply anti-Semitism. This is trained and taught neo-Marxist hatred against Western ideology, and it's been going on for 80 years. If we want to know what's really going on in our education system, we need to ask ourselves, why is this professor just now figuring out what his university has been teaching for 80 years? And then we might be able to figure out what's going on with the rest of the professors.
Yeah, Chris Ann, thank you so much. You're absolutely correct in that. We have had our eye off the ball. Back to you in just a moment.
Thank you.
Israel's fight to defend herself continues, and I want to invite you to join with Kenneth Copeland Ministries, Eagle Mountain International Church, in the effort to bring comfort and aid to the families in Judea and Samaria. Organizations such as the City of David, where we're helping them buy new surveillance cameras and control rooms with computers so they can continuously monitor activity picked up on their cameras. Will you help those families victimized by the vicious attacks from Hamas terrorists get back on their feet? Call 877-281-6297 or visit kcm.org/giveisrael to offer your financial support. 100% of everything you give will bring relief and help to those lives devastated by these barbaric attacks. 877-281-6297 or visit kcm.org/giveisrael. God bless you. Thank you for standing with Israel. Fior?